Hello, my name is Jean, and welcome to my new YouTube channel, The Next Great Adventure. I'm filming this because I have found myself at 58 suddenly unemployed, like many people in this COVID situation in a resource-based industry. And I know that there's going to be a number coming up. It's just a matter of listening to the news and listening to your friends and knowing that I'm just in the first wave. So I thought, while I'm going on this adventure of the newness of being unemployed, I'd go through the process and maybe help you out. Some of it's not as shocking as it was to me. I find that the termination itself is the one that's very hurtful. And a lot of people will talk about, we do it as kindly as we can, and, it's not personal. And on the receiving end, it's very personal. And you have to recognize that. You have to acknowledge that the people that you work with are no longer in your circle. You lose contact with them because many of our relationships at work are just that. They're at work. We don't have home addresses. We don't have home telephone numbers. So when you're terminated in many companies, you're simply cut off. You're done. Computers are shut off. They're wiped. You don't have access to any information. So I'm saying to the people out there, you might want to take a few home phone numbers and personal cell numbers so you can get together afterwards, that you've not lost all of these things. But I've started in the middle, which a lot of people will laugh at because I usually do. So let's start with the phone call. Or if you are at work, it will be, let's have a meeting, and your manager and HR will be there. And it will be very short, concise, to the point. Thanks for coming out. We're terribly sorry. Loved everything you've done for us. It's not personal. Here's your package. And that's it. You're done. You're finished. And the shock will set in. And be aware, you will be in shock. Absolutely. So take a minute. Take a breath. And take your package. Do not panic. Do not go over and say, oh my God, now what do I do? And start signing papers. That's not what you're there for. You're there to pick up that package. And in the package, there's going to be a lot of documentation. And you have to read it. And you have to read it a few times. Most companies will come out with a severance package. The severance package can be good. In my case, it was fine. But it's what do you do with this money that you're getting? Because depending on the time of year that you're getting this money, there's several tax There's several tax implications. So you want to give yourself some time. Generally, 30 days seems to be, you must have this signed and back to us within 30 days. So one of the first things you want to do is take a breath. Find out how much you can live on. Because a lot of these packages, you can at least split the severance package maybe into 2 payments. Or you can possibly defer it to the next tax year if that's a possibility. So you want to find out how much money do you need to live on and how much money do you need to take from the severance package. In my case, it was at the end of the year. Or coming up to the last quarter. I was able to push that off into the next year. Great for me. I have a reserve because it's always good to have a little rainy day fund. Everybody should have one. Start putting away now. And I can live off that money and not have to worry about taking the severance package. That gave me time to check with the CRA. And the CRA, what it will tell you is how much space you have in your RSP, which is your retirement savings plan if you're in Canada. And we have what's called the TFSA, which is a tax-paid savings account. And they're just little shelters that we can use to put money away. Now, the RSP will give you a tax break. And that's one of those things. If you have to take some of this money, you need to offset your taxes with it. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of this money in your taxes. You also have to look at what monies are in your retirement funds. Most companies will not allow you to be on their pension plans any longer. You have to then put it into something that looks similar if it's working for you. So you'll be getting phone calls. You'll be getting documentation. Don't ignore it. You have to read it, as much as it is painful, and it is very painful, right? I got that. But you have just this limited window in which to make it beneficial for you. You also, if you're in Canada, have to fill out your unemployment insurance forms. That has to be done within 30 days of the time that you've been terminated. If you say, well, I won't do that, I will wait until after my severance package is done, and when I need the money, I will get it, that's too late. In many cases, you will be over the time in which you can register. So you want to get that sorted. Your company should have your record of employment by 10 days into this. It should be there, ready for you to use. If they are a company that has any type of expertise at all, they will have actually uploaded it electronically. That's even better, because you have to take paper records of employment to unemployment to get them all sorted. So it's better if they upload it, you're already on the channel, you're ready to go. Then you want to see how much you're going to get. Now in COVID, things are a little different. They're handling how you're being paid differently. I was quite shocked. They came to me and said, great, no waiting period, off you go. Now, the amount that you're going to get paid from unemployment, if you are in the resource industry or if you are in any type of management, is going to be substantially less than you're used to living on. Let me assure you. I believe the top money is about $580 a week in Canada. In Alberta, that's a much different than you're used to living on. So this is when you need to start putting that into your budgeting. You need to start getting rid of anything that you don't need, but that will be another video on how to budget and how to live on less, because we'll be going through that. What I wanted to accomplish with this channel was to look at what is this process. You listen to a lot of things, and if you do, you're going to hear that there is ageism out there. Ageism is the practice of not hiring anybody that is a certain age and above, which is pretty much around 45 and above. I call it the new car syndrome. They want the new model. Companies don't seem to look at experience. There's also gender bias. Women over men. There is also handicap bias, or people with physical disabilities. It's got nothing to do with their head, but for some reason, companies find this a burden. There is one that I'm finding really fascinating, and that seems to be experience bias. Now, I'm an admin, so I take care of the paperwork of a company. I also take care of event planning and travel and expenses and record keeping and timekeeping and pretty much anything that falls under duties as assigned bracket. And I'm finding that when I'm looking at online, that would be the Indeed, Workopolis areas. When it looks at admin, all of those things are listed. Those are all things that require experience. And every one of them has come back with no more than 7 months to 1 year experience. Those are algorithms built into the system. And that's one of the things I want to look at. How do you get past those algorithms? Because the people that are hiring don't even see it. I mean, you just get shoved aside. It's like ageism. They don't ask you your age. It would be illegal in Canada to ask you your age. They do ask you, however, when you graduated grade 12. When you see that, you know that there's an algorithm involved as well. I mean, they don't ask you if you have a grade 12. They ask you when you graduated in grade 12. That's usually the key indicator. And I'm kind of curious as to why that is. Why, as a company, would you not want the best you could possibly get? I find that fascinating, and I want to see if that's a truism. Is ageism, is gender bias, is experience bias a truth? It's certainly talked about a lot. And then I want to talk about, what do you do while you're looking for work? How is it that you look after yourself? You look after your community, you look after your family. I mean, this is all very stressful. But the idea of just sitting here waiting for something to fall into your lap is not healthy. You do have to deal with the hurt and the abandonment that you feel from your company. Many of these companies you have gone above and beyond for. You've given up weekends, you've given up evenings, you've given up family events. You've given up holidays where you always had your cell phone with you, or you're always checking your email to make sure everything was running on time. And that hasn't been given to you. That hasn't been recognized. The only recognition you get was, we really appreciate everything you've done for us. Well, actually, no, you don't. Because how they're choosing to let people go, again, it's all dollars and cents. They're right. It is not personal. You feel like you got hit with the head and with a hammer, and your heart's bleeding. But they're going, it's not personal, really. I mean, it could have been anybody. Well, yeah, it could have been. Just happened to be you. So I want to work with, okay, it was you. So now what do we do? I'm of an age, and the age is 58. I was born in 1962. That was the generation that was going to change the world. We hear an awful lot of millenniums. We're going to change the world. And in your generation, you will. But in our generation, we were as well. So maybe what we have to do is change the world. We have to start YouTube channels when you never thought you would, or even know how to do it. You have to reach out to your friends. You have to reach out to your community. You have to ask yourself, what do I want to do? How do I want to spend the next part of my life? Do you want to go back into the same work that you were doing before? Or do you actually want to be the carver that you always wanted to be, the painter? You'll see my sister's paintings behind me, that you've always wanted to be. Do you want to be the chef? Do you want to be the cook? Do you want to have your YouTube channels? Do you want to find something on the internet? Do you want to use Spotify? Do you want to use the world is your oyster? So let's go find out what that is. I know for myself that I started this process about 2 years ago. I didn't know I had started it. My advice to people who are working now, especially when you're getting into my ages, my group, is to start looking at what the next part of your life is going to be. We're living a long time. Hundreds is not unusual anymore. What are you going to do for the next 40 years? We can't seem to travel at the moment. Okay. There was one lady I watched on YouTube, fabulous. She travels on the internet. She has agoraphobia. She doesn't leave her house. But boy, she's got a travel blog that everybody loves to watch. How about cooking? I come from a family of chefs. Maybe in this time we need to teach each other how to cook, how to set a table so the family can sit down and eat at it. The world is our oyster. We are going on a journey. I'm going on a journey, and I'd like you to come with me. And maybe we'll find out some truths. Maybe we'll find out some things we didn't want to hear. But you know what? I'm going to go find out what the next 50 years looks like for me. And if you care to join me, please subscribe. I was watching Chateau Diaries and Doing It Yourself. Fabulous videos, just fabulous. These are people that took adventures. They went to France, bought chateaus, and now they're redoing them. Fabulous. I think that's marvelous. Maybe yours is building a garden. Maybe yours is building a community garden. Maybe yours is building a community garden and then teaching people how to cook with the produce. But whatever it is, come join me. We'll work through the process of being unemployed in Canada. I'm sorry, I can't give you information on others. If there's ideas that you want me to research, I'm amazing at research. So I'll do them for you. We'll look at this together and we'll figure it out. You'll get full credit for it. Mr. Smith wants to know about this and Mrs. Smith wants to know about that. Well, that's fine. We'll do that too. And then we'll see where it goes. It will be the next great adventure. And I do hope you join me on it. Until next week, I'm Jean.